Okay, here's some video of my Overkill Mark I slider. I call it the Overkill because it's a little too big for just about everything you'd want to do and a little too heavy, but it does have its strong points as well. It's basically a piece of 80/20 with an 80/20 slider attachment, and then I've made some standoffs and a platform for it, along with a 3/8/16 bolt sticking out, and I'll show you how that works. Then we have a drive belt, and it's attached in the middle here. I'm going to do a better job of attaching that. I haven't decided what type of fastener to use on that yet. But you can see without the motor attached that it just slides like a normal slider. And then I'll show you how it works with the motor on it. Anyway, here's the part that I built. It's a synchronous drive pulley with a synchronous drive belt and some bearings and two pieces of L angle in this end. Okay, this is just freewheels. There's no motor on this end, and the belt goes down the center here. Kind of see that. So it goes over the top, around the pulley, and through the center of the piece of 80/20. I also added these. These are from 80/20 as well, and this leveling devices are also 80/20. And I bought these separately. These are little knurled knobs or steel. And so let's go look at the other end. On this end, we have a gear reduced 12-volt motor. And these are commercial units. They're used in different types of products. I don't know what else they're used for, but you can see it has a 5/16 inch shaft here that goes through the pulley. That's the same size pulley as that's on the other side. I think it's got, I can't remember what size this is. It looks around 3 or 4 inches. I built this a while back, so I'm a little sketchy on details. But here's the piece of L angle, and you can see how it's attached right through the end of. There's two holes that come on every piece of 80/20, and all you have to do is tap them. I believe this was 5/16 tap. Okay, so then we have two standoffs. These are nylon standoffs I got at Lowe's, which is a home improvement store here in America. Here's another nylon standoff. So there's 4 nylon standoffs, and they're about, I believe that's about 1 inch long, maybe 1.25 inches. And then it screws right onto the stud that came with the motor. There's 4 studs, one for each of the threaded holes on the motor. And so you just thread that on there, and then you just go in with a 1032. There's no reason to tap this, it's nylon, so that it'll start itself. And so we've transferred the hole locations from the motor to the L angle bracket, and this is the only thing attaching it, is this L angle bracket. It's just a gap on this side. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, just for some reason my camera keeps wanting to stop. It says it's on AGS mode, and then it automatically stops after a few minutes. I don't know what's going on there. I have to read the manual again. Anyway, here's the power cable. Okay, this runs off of 12 volts. So here's your power cable. Has a standard, I believe that's a 2.5 millimeter. I don't remember exactly. And that plugs in to one of these 2 ports. This is a controller box, and I'll post links for what's internal to this. It's pretty cool. It's a company called Basic Micro makes a motor controller, and it's designed to be controlled in several ways, and one of the ways it's designed to be controlled is with potentiometers, and that's where that comes in. All this is a potentiometer joystick mounted in a box and then wired to some cable here. Okay, so there's no electronics in here other than the potentiometer, and so you have this motion, and this motion, and you'll see how that works in a second. And I put a really long cable on it so I can get far away, and here's where the the motor connects to the box, and here's where power connects to the box. So let me grab a battery just a second. I'm going to cut. So here's the battery. These are from China or Taiwan. Here's the model number on this one. It's a T-129A. It's a 12 volt DC battery, and it's, let's see, the output is 9800 milliamps mAh, so it'll last a very long time. It's really designed for like a security cam. Well, let's see, the LCD type monitors. It's got the same connector I put on my box here. So we just stick that there in the power supply input, and it comes with a little switch. Turn that on, LED comes on, and it's ready to go. So here's the controller, joystick. There's the slider, super mega powerful slider. And let's see, oh, I've somehow pulled the cable out here when I was moving things around. Okay, now everything's set. So here's the joystick. Okay, I've got it upside down, obviously. Don't use it that much. So here's the joystick. And yes, it's noisy, so may not be appropriate for, you know, live shots with dialogue, but if you're outside shooting scenic type shots, then it'll go really slow. It's proportional to the input on the joystick, and so if I push the joystick over, it moves quite fast. Now I'm looking for a better motor than this one. Obviously that's just too noisy, and that's mainly due to the gearbox here. The gears that drive this are probably metal gears, and then attached to this big aluminum tube makes a lot of racket. So I'm looking for just a straight motor to hook up to there, and without a gear reduction. Of course, that's going to drive up my power requirements, but it should still be doable on 12 volts. So here's the slider. Okay, at really slow speeds it's not very loud at all. Of course, if you're in a closed set inside a building like I am here, you're going to hear the motor no matter what. Once I figure out a better motor, then it should be pretty quiet. The controller itself doesn't make any noise. It's just that gear reduction. So here's the slider in action. It's around, let's see, I believe it's 72 inches long. So that's like 6 foot up, 6 foot slider. So at slow speeds, which is what you're going to use for a lot of your, beautiful shots, you're not going to drive this thing super fast. So it has quite a bit of torque, so you can attach a large camera on there. You can set it on a table. I'm considering one of the plastic folding tables. That's a good choice. Another thing you can do is, these are 3/8 16 type threads, so you can just thread that into a tripod without the head on it. Those come with the same size threads, 3/8 16ths. So you can put one of those on each end, and it's not that heavy. It's probably 15 pounds. So there you have it. I'll cut and I'll show you what it does in time-lapse mode. So here's the Dolly Shield time-lapse engine, they call it. It's from a place called Dynamic Perception. So you just Google that or Open Motor Controller, and you'll find links that'll get you to the people who sell this. they're back ordered quite a bit. This one came as a kit. On the top it's the open motor controller. On the bottom it's a standard Arduino, okay, which is a programmable microcontroller that's open source. And since they're using this together with the Arduino, this is also an open source project, and you can freely download the information, the program that drives this. Okay, so let's hook the power supply up to this as well as the motor. Okay, so make sure I got it in the right one here. Not sure. Okay. You can get those wonderful time-lapse type motion shots that you see all over the internet these days. So here's the power going in on that side. I've got it sitting on a piece of bubble wrap here. Probably not the best choice. And so here's turning it on, and it takes a second for it to boot up. And that's the MX2 Dolly engine. Okay, so you change some of the parameters. You tell it how many seconds. You want it between the shots and how far you want it to move. Okay. I'll step this up so you can really see it go. Okay, so once it's set, we go back to the off and on section of the menu here and turn it on. Okay, I've got this thing really cranked up to move a lot and really quickly. So 1/1000, 2/1000, every 2 seconds it's going to move about, I don't know, about half an inch it looks like. And then it'll also fire your camera. So if you got a camera like the 5D Mark II, it'll take your time-lapse shot. There's a lot more information on the internet on this for a guy named Timelapse. He's on the YouTube, and he invented all this stuff. I made my own. His slider and my slider are completely different designs for the most part. This slider was pretty much all my design, and his is quite a bit different. His motor's attached to the shuttle in the middle there, whereas mine's on the end and pulls it with a much longer belt. His is probably more economical. So we fire, move, fire, move, fire. It's going to fire the shutter. And I have a special cable I made to connect the MX2 Dolly shield to the camera so that it'll fire. Anyway, that's the two methods you can use with the Dolly here, the Motorized Dolly I built. And so that's it. Oh, hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to put some links in the posting here. Bye.